Skywas 122 X-ray, turn right at Alpha 6, contact now. Skywas 4473, Salt Lake Tower, wind 320 at 8, traffic pulling in position, runway 34 left, clear to land. Southwest 376, RNAV to Sappy, runway 34 left, clear for takeoff.
Skywas 7393, roger, maintain 250 knots, airport north 29 miles, report close site. Maintain 250, airport to site, Skywas 7393. Skywas 7393, clear visual approach, runway 34 right.
Southwest 376, contact departure. First departure, South 376. Skywas 4473, right at Alpha 7, join Bravo, then contact ground. Delta 1457, Salt Lake Tower, runway 34 left, line up and wait traffic, a regional jet turning a 4-mile final. Delta 1457, wind 320 at 8, RNAV to Shoals, runway 34 left, clear for takeoff. Frontier 584, contact Tower 119.05. Skywas 4647, Salt Lake Tower, caution wake turbulence, departing point 757, wind 340 at 7, runway 34 left, clear to land.
4825, contact, departure.
To departure, Skywas 4825.
Hi, my name is Kyle Sanders. I'm an S3 mentor with the Salt Lake Artec, and today I'm going to be bringing you through a tutorial on how to set up your ground station. First, I'm going to recommend that you upgrade the resolution of this video to the highest one possible, most likely 720p. You can usually do this by going to the right hand corner of where this video is playing, look for a settings icon, usually a gear symbol, and then click on that, then click on the highest number possible. Secondly, I'm going to suggest that you look in the video description of this video and check for any updates that has happened to procedures, the website, or anything of the sort since this video has been published. This video also assumes that you've already watched the ZLC Observer video and how to set that up, and we pick up here where we left off there. Now I'm going to have you bring up some reading material that you really should read right after this video is done. Go to your web browser, do a Google search for Metacraft VRC. Click on the first link there, go up to documentation, and then I like to get the user manual with 1 page per section. I'm going to suggest that you read every single link here and take notes as necessary. Start with introduction, work your way down through configuration, the tools windows, then up to setting up your session, working with aircraft, so on and so forth. One very important one is going to be the appendices in Appendix A, command reference. This is going to help you a lot with controlling. You can go ahead and leave it up, but I'm going to close it out for now. Alright, let's go ahead and start up VRC now. You're then prompted to select a profile. As you remember, last time we set up the ZLC_observer profile, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that one. Once VRC starts up, sometimes you can get an error warning you that it could not receive a server list from the network. That's fine, just go ahead and click OK. I now like to minimize all the windows that are populating our screen. I do this by double clicking on the top bar. Today we're going to be working on our Salt Lake ground profile. We're going to go ahead and save this as a separate profile. Let's go to File, Save Session Profile as ZLC _ for your Artec, just in case you decide to visit other Artecs later on. This will help you keep it organized. The name of the airport, SLC _, and then the position, GND for ground. Then click OK. We are now working in the ZLC SLC ground profile. To show you what this means, I'll go ahead and click File and then Exit, restart VRC. And here you're going to have 3 different profiles. The default ZLC Observer that we set up before, and now we have this new profile, ZLC SLC ground. Now you can go ahead and open the ground profile. And again, let's go ahead and minimize our windows. What we're going to do now is go up to Settings, Radar Mode, and select Ground. Back to Settings, hover over Filters, slide over to Configure. Let's put our airspace ceiling to 11,000 and deselect Show Data Tags for targets above my airspace ceiling. Click Apply and then OK. Go back to Settings, General, Airspace tab. Take our visibility down to 20 nautical miles. This is a maximum range for a ground controller. Take out the comma KBOI out of the arrival and departure fields. Click Apply and then OK. Zoom in to Salt Lake. Down in the command line, type .vis space KSLC. Hit enter, and then you'll be able to see where your visibility is centered and the border of your visibility. Zoom in to where we can see the entire airport layout. At this time, hold down Control, Alt, and then the number 1. Zoom out a little bit further to where you can maybe see 10 miles out, so Control, Alt, 2. Zoom out to where you can see the entire TRACON, that's the purple outline. Control, Alt, 3, and then zoom a good distance out to where you can see maybe about half the Artec, then Control, Alt, 4. At this time you can go ahead and hold down Control and then number 1. It'll jump to your first preset for visibility. Let's go to Control 3. It'll show the TRACON. Control 2, zooms in just a little bit, it'll show about a 12-mile diameter around it, and Control 4 shows about half the RTEC. This is good when you're helping pilots reroute their flight. Since we've done quite a few changes to this profile, let's go up to File and then Save. Let's open our main browser, go to the ZLC RTEC website, Download section, Miscellaneous, scroll down, and find the Sweatbox server file, and download that file. I'm going to suggest that you save this to your main VRC file located in your documents. Once downloaded, you can close your browser and navigate to your documents, VRC file, and there it is, myservers.zip. Unzip this file, and then you can delete the zipped file. If you double click on the myservers.txt, it'll open Notepad and you'll be able to see sweatbox.vatsim.net written in there. You can close that window and close your navigation window. For VRC to recognize that new server, we're going to have to save and quit. Reopen VRC and select the ZLC ground profile that we've been working on today. Once VRC is loaded, go to File and Connect. Now in your server list, you're going to be able to see a Sweatbox profile. Go ahead and select that. Change your call sign to SLC_GND. Leave your real name, your facility and rating, your certificate and password, and then click Connect. You are now connected to the Sweatbox server. The Sweatbox server is an alternate server to VATSIM. This will allow instructors and mentors to control fake aircraft while you see these aircraft just like you would on VATSIM. It's a great training environment. We'll be able to pause simulation at any time and help instruct you on what to do in certain scenarios. We can also create certain scenarios for you that we wish to test you on. It's suggested that this is the only time that you connect to the Sweatbox server, only to be able to set up your radar scope the way I'm instructing you now. At this time, hit your F2 key and type KSLC and then enter. At the top, you're going to see a box pop up with Salt Lake weather. You can click on that box and then it displays the entire MEDAR. You can click on the box again and it gets rid of it. For future reference, you can go ahead and add more airports in your area. Say that you're a TRACON controller. You can now add KOGD and you have multiple weather you can look up at that same time. To get rid of one, you type F2 and then that airport code again. Let's go up to File and save our profile. At this time, go back up to File and disconnect from the network. I'm now going to teach you how to record an ATIS. An ATIS is an automatic terminal information service report that is pretty much put on a loop on a frequency to where pilots can tune to this frequency and hear all the pertinent weather and information about this airport. It is usually up to the tower controller to maintain the ATIS report to the most accurate and up-to-date information concerning this airport. But from time to time, a ground controller or delivery controller can even run the ATIS. The only time a ground controller, S1, is allowed to make and maintain an ATIS is if there's a controller above him or her providing local control services for them at that airport. So if you have Salt Lake Tower online and your Salt Lake Ground is allowed to make the ATIS if Salt Lake Tower allows them to. Say that you have Salt Lake Ground online and Salt Lake Approach, but no tower. Salt Lake Approach is still providing local control services for Salt Lake. Therefore, Salt Lake Ground can then maintain an ATIS. At this time, I'm going to connect to the Sweatbox server again, but you do not. The following steps you will be allowed to follow along with, but you will not be able to actually hit record for voice due to the fact that you're not connected to the server. Go to Settings and ATIS Maker. As you can remember before in the Observer setup, we've already set it up for the Salt Lake Airport. The first ATIS of the day is going to be named Alpha. I do not suggest having the option Auto Update selected. For more information about that, you'll have to read the manual that we talked about before we started this tutorial. You can go ahead and leave Welcome to ZLC. This is what pilots are going to see when they tune to their frequency, that quick little message they get. If you want any more information put in there, you can. Try to keep it as short as possible. Let's go over to the right where it says Add Runway. And here you want to go ahead and preset all the different runways that we have, excluding runway 14/32. So I'm going to start with runway 16 right. I'm going to type 16R in that box and click Add Runway. 16L, Add Runway, and then 17, Add Runway. We now need to add their opposites. Runway 34L, runway 34R, and runway 35. Down in the voice ATIS server, you're going to want to input a working server. We like to use our own server, voice.zlcrtech.com, like shown in the Observer video. But if at any time that server is down, you have multiple servers you are able to select from, and which was described in the Observer video. For now, we're going to use the Salt Lake voice server. we're going to use the standard ATIS frequency for Soul Lake, which is at this time 124.75, and then you add the 0, just as you do any other frequency. We already have this standard setup laid out for us, and that is fine. Let's go ahead and use this and see what this does. Hit record ATIS. Oh no, you have to be at least an S1 rating to create a voice ATIS. What we have to do is have the software and the server recognize us as the S1. Click OK, close this window for now, go to File, you would hit Connect. I am hitting Disconnect at this time. You're still connected to the network, and that's fine. Go back to File, Connect. Let's change our facility to Ground, and then our observer rating upgraded to Student 1, S1. I'm clicking Connect. You may go ahead and click Connect at this time and then quickly disconnect. Let's go back up to Settings and ATIS Maker. A quick way you can do this is just select the ATIS that is now part of your toolbar at the top next to your MEDAR display, and it brings up the ATIS Maker very quickly. Let's hit Record ATIS. We see that a row of information is missing. This is for the runways in use. Let's click Cancel, and what we have to do is say that we're running South Ops. That's runway 16 right and 16 left. Runway 17 is given due to the fact that that's mainly used for general aviation aircraft. So all we have to do is highlight the landing and departing runways. In this situation, we're using landing and departing runways 16 right and 16 left. But let's say that we were arriving runway 16 right, so I deselected 16 left, and then we were departing on 16 left, so I deselected 16 right. That is how this situation would look. I'm going to go ahead and leave that. Hit Record ATIS. You can now see that the runways in use section has now been filled in. What we can do now is select Record and then just read through this information. I want to add one more thing to it though. So I'm going to click Cancel. After the runway symbol in the voice ATIS template, I'm going to put a space, and then I'm going to put Airport Surface Detection Equipment in use. Operate transponder with mode Charlie on taxiways and runways. Then period. Let's try hit Record ATIS again. As you can see, the information we just input has made the ATIS voice template expand to 5 lines. The code of conduct does not allow us to have 5 lines. Therefore, we're going to need to shorten this up a little bit. If we know that Airport Surface Detection Equipment is abbreviated with this, and we know the standard phraseology for that advisory, all we should be able to have to do is put Airport Surface Detection Equipment in use. And we know that we can say operate transponder with mode Charlie at all taxiways and runways. So let's take that out. After Airport Surface Detection Equipment in use, I'm going to take that entire line out and then period. We are now back to 4 lines. So we're good to record at this time. One way to read this report is Salt Lake International Information Alpha 1353 Zulu, wind 170 at 13, visibility 10, few clouds at 10,000, temperature 24, dew point 9er, altimeter 3001, landing runway 16 right, departing runway 16 left, airport surface detection equipment in use, pilots operate transponder with mode Charlie on all taxiways and runways. Read back all hold short instructions, advise on initial contact, you have information Alpha. Another way to read it would be Salt Lake International Information Alpha 1353 Zulu, wind 170 at 13, the weather is better than 5005, temperature 24, dew point 9er, altimeter 3001, and then the rest would be the same as you did before. You notice that I took the visibility and the cloud conditions or sky conditions completely out. When the visibility is greater than 5 nautical miles and the lowest cloud layer is above 5,000 feet above ground level, you can omit the sky conditions and say that the weather is better than 5005. You also most likely recognized in the first one that I didn't report the ceiling broken at 13,000 and then 20,000. That is because you don't report anything above 12,000 feet. That information would then be considered inaccurate. All this information obviously can be found in the 7110 and your controller training information. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and record this ATIS by selecting Record. Salt Lake International Information Bravo. Oh no, I messed up. All I have to do is stop recording and then click record again. Salt Lake International Information Alpha 1353 Zulu. I stumbled over myself. Again, all I have to do is select record. Let's do it one more time. Salt Lake International Information Alpha 1353 Zulu. Wind 170 at 13. The weather is better than 5005. Temperature 24, dew point 9er. Altimeter 3001. Landing and departing runways 16 right and 16 left. Airport surface detection equipment in use. Pilots operate transponder with mode Charlie on all taxiways and runways. Read back all hold true instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information Alpha. I stopped recording, and now what I want to do is select play to hear myself. I know that I've already messed up on the landing and departing on the designated runways. So I wouldn't save this ATIS, I would have to redo it if this was the actual network. But for instructional purposes only, I'm going to go ahead and select save. Then connect and close window. At this time you'll see a little V next to the A. That means that voice ATIS is active. At this time you can click on that and select monitor ATIS and then unmonitor it. While you're monitoring it, you can hear your voice being played over and over again. When it comes down to updating the weather, open the ATIS, get the next chronological ATIS code, which is Bravo in this case, select record ATIS and then record again. Once you're done recording, click save. After that save, you're already connected, so it automatically updates it to information Bravo. If you click on controller and chat, you see that Salt Lake ATIS is now considered a controller. You can click on it and see all the information about it. Alright, what I've done here is I right clicked on that controller and selected request ATIS. It then sent me a message with all the information that's part of his controller ATIS. Usually the controller ATIS information is found in the controller info template here, and that's what you're sent. But seeing as this is a voice ATIS, it sent you this information. What's important here is this very first line, the voice URL. Say that this ATIS is another controller that you wanted to monitor. Open your comms frequency and make a new one, monitor. Plug in his frequency, 124.750. After you requested the ATIS from that controller, the voice URL here, voice.zlcrtech.com, goes in the Vox server. And the Vox channel is what is after the / in that voice URL. Now usually this is going to be something like Salt Lake ground, and obviously the frequency would be different. He may even be using a separate Vox server. At that time you can click Save Changes and it shows up here as another controller stand. I'm not able to save this due to the fact that this frequency is already in use. I'm just going to go ahead and clear that. And what I'm going to do here is we're going to make believe that what we just did is we wanted to monitor Salt Lake delivery. Alright, so that his Vox server is the same as what it was before. All we have to do now is click RX and headset or speaker. RX means that you're going to receive all the information transmitting and receiving on his frequency, including voice and text, and then you route it to either your speaker or your headset. Never click TX on his frequency and never click prime on his frequency. That's the proper way to monitor another controller. Last thing I want to show you is how to set up another radar scope within your VRC program. So say that we are a tower controller controlling both ground and tower services. We want to see the arrivals before they come in, but we want to have our main focus on the ground here. What we're going to do is go up to File and Open New Window. You'll notice that this window has a number 2 in the top left hand corner, as our main primary window has a number 1. We'll get into what that means later on. What we have to do here is we have to pretty much set up a new sector file in here. Go to File, Open Sector, navigate to your VRC folder, your ZLC folder, sector file, select that and highlight it, just like we did before. We are now hovering right above Salt Lake International Airport. We need to draw some graphics here. Let's go to Settings and Radar Mode and go ahead and select it to Tower. You can set up filters on this screen if you would like. Go to View and set this up any way that you want. But what's important is the View Diagrams. Let's go down and select the SLC Geo, or you can select Airport Geo that highlights all the drawn airports within the Salt Lake RTEC. But for now, since we're only controlling Salt Lake, we're just going to highlight the Salt Lake Geo. In this window you can zoom out separately from your main window and set it up any way that you want. There's a few limitations. Your main visibility center that you set for your main primary display is going to be the same as all your other separate windows. Also, your quick preset for visibility only works for your main screen. It does not work for any supplementary screens. So let's say that I want to keep this guy over here and zoom in just enough to where I can see all the arrivals coming in on the north side of the airport. I have a pretty good setup now. You can even set up even more screens. You can set up a third screen that has a number 3 here. If you remember before, there are certain helpful commands that you'll read about later in the manuals that I gave you that make controlling a little bit easier. Say that you wanted to find a quick waypoint like Euphemy. You can click the dot command find space Euphemy and then click enter, and as you can see on the main screen, it highlights it, but it doesn't highlight it on your second screen. This is a separate function. Anything that you want sent to your secondary screen or your tertiary screen, your third screen, do the command, the main command, which is .find space, a forward slash, and then the number of which that display is. In this case, we want it sent to our second display. So we place a number 2, space, and then the object you want highlighted, euphemy. Click enter, and as you can see, it is now highlighted on the secondary screen. You can read more information about this in the manual that I gave you. Now we have the scope set up the way we like. Let's go up to File and then Save. Further instructions on how to control your ground station will be given during your training with an instructor or mentor, or in future releases of tutorials. I wish you luck, and I can't wait to see you on the scopes.